Hey, you should drink responsibly and don't drink and drive. Hey everybody, I'm Bat Tracy for Punk Rock Blues, and if you couldn't tell from the title of the video, because you can't read, but you can listen, I'm doing a Drunk Explained, where I get drunk and explain a movie plot to you. It's a great thing, isn't it? Alright, I'm doing this one solo, like Han. Earlier, my brother and I, we went out to dinner to a nice restaurant slash bar. Bar and Grill is what it's called. And I had a vodka Red Bull. That was delicious. And this is my fourth beer of the night now. So I'm a little bit tipsy. I'm a little bit there. And I got a fun one for you guys tonight. I'm going to be explaining Justice League of America. The 1997 TV movie pilot. It was supposed to air on CBS, but it didn't. Because it's awful. If you've never heard of this, boy are you in for a treat. Because this is one of the greatest, worst things ever made. Like, this is by bar none easiest, like, the worst superhero thing ever made. So it's from 1997, and it was originally made as a pilot movie for a TV series about the Justice League that was going to start, and this was so bad that they never made that. Alright, so it's like shot in like a mockumentary style, kind of like The Office, where, you know, like the superheroes do like mock interviews to the camera, kind of like I'm doing to you right now, except everything that they talk about, it very rarely has anything to do with the plot line of the actual episode of what's going on in the movie. It's really weird.
I'm working at the Meteorological Institute and have a little accident.
Okay, so we open on this chick. She's a science chick, right? Her name's Tori, okay? And she works for Miguel O'Hara, okay? He's like the leader of this like science weather company, right? Anyway, so then there's like a storm outside with like lightning shooting down and whatnot. Like, poof, 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 poof. We get introduced to Barry Allen, the Flash. He is, in the comics, you know, he's a scientist. He's a forensic scientist, girlfriend, and he's got his life together, and that's a thing. Well, in this show, he's just a fucking unemployed geek. He's just a loser.
I'm a nice guy, I think. You know, I like to go eat sushi sometimes. I like to go to the park.
And he just keeps talking about how he's like, I just can't figure out what life is about. I'm dumb. Then we get introduced to Guy Gardner. That's the Green Lantern of the piece, Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner.
No.
I know, it's weird. Anyway, he's a software salesman, and basically his entire storyline in the movie, his girlfriend hates him. That's really it. Like, she just is always upset because he's always running off to do Green Lantern stuff.
Guy.
Cheryl, I'm gonna be there for you more often in the future, I promise. Starting real soon.
Guy, don't walk.
So they're like in the courtyard or whatever, this place, and we get introduced to the bad guy of the movie. His name's the Weatherman. It's a play on the Weather Wizard, the classic Flash villain.
Your powers are nothing compared to mine.
He's up on like, he projects himself on like a screen on the side of a building, and he's got like a balaclava and like a bandana and like sunglasses on his face, and he's like, I'm gonna cause a storm.
Justice League, bravo, a virtuoso performance. But I want you to keep one thing in mind about the weather. It can change at any moment.
If the city doesn't give me money, bah! So we get introduced to Fire next. BB DaCosta is the character's name, and she is a struggling actress in a banana suit. She's going for like some kind of fruit commercial or something. There's like a person dressed as a strawberry and a peach or whatever, and she's in a banana. guess there's like a funny joke or callback to it later in the movie where they're like, did you get the job or whatever? And she's like, oh no, they gave it to the Peach. Really dumb. So stupid. So then when she's done with this like acting thing, audition I guess, she runs into David Krumholtz. Can't remember his character name. I literally just got done watching this movie again. I've seen it twice now. I rewatched it for this. And so he like follows her, whatever. And he's like, he introduces himself. And he's like, I'm 22 years old or whatever. And she's like, oh man, I remember when I was that young. And you make me feel old or whatever. He is just super, super into fire right off the bat. It's very noticeable where he's got like the puppy dog eyes. And he's like... We get introduced to Ray Palmer, the Atom, who he's like a school teacher, I think, like a high school level science teacher, and he's just a nerd. That is all his character development in the entire movie is he is a nerd.
Became a scientist so that I could help people, so that I could discover new things about the world, so I could discover new things about people and our planet, where we came from, where we're going, what's going to happen to us in the future.
Then there's a huge storm outside, right? There's like a tornado and there's clouds and whatnot. All the JLA members, the Justice League members, they all have these like beepers on that. They go like beep beep beep, and they have to like, you know, go meet up as the Justice League and whatever. So this like tornado is coming to town or whatever, and then you find out, oh, Miguel O'Hara, Tori's boss from the beginning, he's the weatherman. He's the bad guy of this piece. Miguel O'Hara is.
Preston Waters got something.
What's on my bike?
Let's check your dad. He'll know what to do with it.
He has the power to start all these storms and control the weather because he's the weatherman. You get it? So then we see the superheroes' costumes for the first time, and they are awful. It's like these weird like spandex suits with like these leather pieces over them, like just this like Green Lantern has like a weird leather vest, and then like Ice has a weird mask, and they're so bad looking. And what's ridiculous is the Green Lantern, his suit is made from his ring, and there's a part in this where he like runs into an alley and he just shoves his Green Lantern suit into a fucking backpack. It's hilarious.
Good work, Flash.
Thanks. Who do we save next? Storm's over. We're done rescuing people for the day.
What was that all about?
So the Flash, he like runs at the tornado and, you know, runs around it and stops it.
This is absolutely incredible.
Then we get like an extended interview with the Flash where he's like talking to the camera and he's like, I'm just a dude and I like hanging out and I like friends and I like bowling and I like sports, but I really like bowling. It's like my favorite thing to do, and I don't have a job still, and blah, blah, blah.
I'm really just a regular guy, I guess. You know, I like bowling, football, watching the tube. I really like the bowling.
Yeah, that's the Barry Allen we get. We get introduced. They all the friends live... Oh, and Flash gets kicked out of his apartment because he's unemployed and can't pay his rent. Well, anyway, so then they all live together in an apartment, like a house, and Flash has to move in, and he's like, oh, don't worry, guys. As repayment, I'll cook y'all dinner. And he cooks like a 20-course meal, but then he eats it all super fast. And he's like, my metabolism, guys. They all are just like, you know, Barry, we need to have a serious talk. You need to get a life. And then he's like, you guys don't think I'm trying? And then he runs out. Cut back to Tori at the science place, which I don't think they even give a name.
I'm working at the Eno Meteorological Institute.
And there's like this creepy science dude who's like kind of like lurking in the background or whatever. Basically, it really leads to nothing yet. He's just kind of creepy and you're kind of like, oh, is this the weatherman? But no, they already showed us that Miguel O'Hara's the weatherman. So why even put this subplot in? Because it makes no sense. Because you already know who the bad guy is, so we don't need this one. Then, the creepy science dude, he's like, alright, Tori, I'm gonna go home for the night. And so he leaves. And then Tori finds, like, the weather briefcase that Miguel O'Hara was using. And she's like, oh, what's this? And she, like, touches the button or whatever. And then, like, she literally, like, spills a Coke like off the top of the screen onto it, and it sizzles, and she gets zapped. And she's like, oh, that didn't feel so good. I better go home. So she's like about to leave, and she's like, everything she touches turns to ice like 2 seconds after she leaves. And then she like freezes a doorknob and the keyboard and blah, blah, blah. She gets ice powers. Whoa, she's got superpowers. Okay, then we cut to, there's a dude, he fell off his bike into the pond or lake or whatever, and he's like, I can't swim! Help! Ah! She like gets in the water, she's like, don't worry, I got this. And she like reaches for the dude, and what does she do? She freezes the lake. Just freezes it all, and then he can get out. Not that he'd be like frozen in it or anything, he just steps out of it, 'cause she froze it for him. Then we cut to the JLA's weird apartment that they all live in together, and they're all like arguing about how the TV's broken and they need to watch Touched by an Angel.
When you walk.
And then they're like, does anybody know how to fix the TV? And Adam's like, oh, don't worry, I can do it. And then we get this really shitty green screen composite of just the actor who plays the Atom standing in front of a green screen, just holding like 2 wires, and it's like the picture of like the back of a TV behind him. It looks awful.
Right, you gotta fix the TV. Hurry up. You know, we're gonna miss Touched by an Angel.
And he's just like, and then it's like, and he gets zapped, and then they bring in like a TV repairman, and he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll just put a piece of gum in your TV and totally fix it. Oh. Alright, then we cut to Tori, who is sleeping in her bed at night. And then she like wakes up, and boom, the JLA fucking put a fucking gas mask over her face and kidnap her. Like literally kidnap her from her home in the middle of the night while she is sleeping. These are your superheroes, folks. They kidnap people. She's like tied up in a chair in like the JLA's base. This whole like thing of like, should we put her on the Justice League, or is she the weather lady? Because she could be the weatherman because she froze the lake or whatever. Well, and they're like, okay, we kidnapped her. That's a bad thing. We shouldn't have done that. So then they put her back in her bed, and she has this weird bad dream where she is like frozen in ice in her bed, and then she wakes up. Fade to black. Then there's a joke where Flash, he gets hired as a mailman, and he like shows up, and they're like, hey, you gotta get here sooner so you can sort your mail. And he's like, oh, I delivered my mail.
Hey, Greenhorn, you're gonna have to wake up earlier. You should have your route sorted by now. Oh, I'm done.
And then the mailmen, they get together and have a meeting and decide that the Flash needs to get fired because they can't have him delivering all the mail, because that's not what mail people do. He delivered it too fast. Jokes in the 90s, man. We get Miguel O'Hara talking to the creepy scientist and Tori, and it's kind of weird because he's acting different than he normally does. And then some kid's like, Mommy, look, that guy's hand is green. And you're like, oh, his hand was green.
Oh, look at that hand, it's green.
Is this going to pay off in any way later? Probably not. David Krumholtz, he's back. Oh yeah, he's back. And he's following Fire around from an auditions. Like after auditions, he's like sneaking around in the bushes, and he talks to her, and he's like, I just really like you, and I think we should really get to know each other. And she's like, I'm so old, and you're like so young, or whatever. And he's like, no, it's fine, because age is just how you feel, baby. The Weatherman, he's back on the wall, and he's demanding $20 million from the city, or there's going to be a giant fucking hailstorm. And you know what? Hailstorm anyways. Boom, there's a hailstorm. So Guy Gardner, he's standing there with his girlfriend, right, when the hailstorm starts. And so he's like, beep, beep, beep. Oh, I gotta go. And she's like, are you seriously leaving me in the middle of a hailstorm? You're a douchebag, Guy. And he's like, sorry. And he, out of nowhere comes Green Lantern with just a little umbrella. And this is I thought was hilarious. Green Lantern walks up to a guy's girlfriend and just puts this little umbrella over her so that the hail doesn't hit her. While there's people in the background just getting hail on the head. One lady literally runs and slips on something and just slams back on the ground. It's insane. You're not protecting anybody but your girlfriend, you dickhead. Fire just flies into the air and shoots fire at the cloud and melts all the hail as it falls. And job well done. Another problem solved by the Justice League. Yeah. So then we cut to a scene where the Justice League in their IRL clothes are going to some kind of like weather con, like a science fest. They're trying to figure out who the weatherman is because they know he works for this company. And Tori's like, oh, I think it's this guy or whatever, and blah, blah, the creepy scientist, and blah, blah, blah. Basically, there's like this joke where Flash asks a waiter. Flash has to sneak in because he can't get a pass or whatever, and he asks a waiter if they're hiring, and the waiter's like, if you're here, aren't you like a scientist or whatever? And Flash tells him that he's an archaeopologist. That's not a real thing, so it's a real LOL moment. The Atom and Green Lantern sneak off, like, to like this, they have to get into a thing, and the Atom, there's like, you know, the laser things, and he has to like sneak under them. And I timed this. I literally watched it, like the clock on a Blu-ray player. There's a 15-second like chunk where it's just him, just fucking limboing underneath the bottom laser, just like limboing. 15 seconds it goes, and it feels like goddamn 45 seconds. It's ridiculous. Also, Adam, he met Ice, you know, like in IRL, not kidnapping her, and he's like totally has a hospital. He's like, ah. Yeah. So, yeah, that was a thing. And then there's a weird interview where Adam's talking to the camera about how there was one time where like sometimes he would shrink, and then when he comes back, he like grows big. Not all of him grows big again, and he's like, yeah, sometimes like my leg will be smaller. My voice is getting smaller, and I still talk like this, and everybody laughs at me, and they don't understand. See what I'm talking about? These backstage interviews have nothing to do with the fucking movie. So then it turns out that creepy science dude I mentioned about, turns out he's not creepy at all. He has like some kind of thing that just can tell, like, for 90% predictability when it's gonna rain or whatever. And he was just like super excited about this thing he made. And they're like, oh, he's not the weatherman after all. He just has some rain machine or whatever. So, creepy guy isn't creepy after all. I know you were excited to figure that out. So we got the weatherman. He's back doing another video on the building. And then we cut to Tori walking up onto the roof of the science building. And now, I mentioned this, I think, at the beginning of the video. The bad guy, the weatherman, he has like a balaclava, like a bandana, and like sunglasses, like he has a full mask and shit. When Tori walks up and interrupts Miguel O'Hara in the middle of him doing this, he literally just has like this big, huge fucking camera, like an old news type camera, strapped to his chest on like a rig. And it's just Miguel O'Hara. No mask, sunglasses, or anything.
There's some stormy weather ahead, and I'm afraid you're in for a bumpy ride. Showers.
What is the weather? Well, that's
Step
the
He has a camera that, as he's talking into the camera, it somehow puts a mask over his face. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. This movie is ridiculous. Tori, she goes to the apartment of the JLA, like where they actually live, and she's like, guys, she'll never figure this shit out. The fucking weatherman's my boss, Miguel O'Hara. He's the bad guy in this picture. You never would have figured it out if it weren't for me, because you guys are dumb. So they figured that out. Then we cut back to this David Krumholtz shit. And it's basically he meets up with Fire, and he's like, hey, I bought these earrings for a very special girl, and you are that special girl. BB, baby, I want you to wear these earrings. And he gives her the earrings, and she's like, this bloody guy is really trying to get at me. Then we cut to the JLA have an underwater secret base. They bring Tori there, and who else is there? None other than the leader of the JLA, bloody Martian Manhunter, played by David Ogden Stiers. Or Spears. Steers or Spears or Shears. One of the names. It's the guy from MASH. I just want to say, he's fat. He's so fat in this. It's like, okay, you know what Martian Manhunter looks like, right? He's shirtless, and he's green, and he's just got the blue X.
I'll not be denied.
Imagine a fat guy being Martian Manhunter.
I am John Jones, leader of the Justice League. As you can see, we met before. I apologize for leaving so abruptly. I have only a limited time in human form.
It's crazy. She basically meets Martian Manhunter, and he's like, hey, that one time that you talked to Miguel O'Hara, that was me. I shapeshifted into him. Ha ha ha. Cut back to, there's like a news thing on the TV, and Fire is wearing the earrings on a news clip, and then Krumholtz is like, you're Fire. BB, you're Fire. And she's like, what? And he's like, listen, I gave you those earrings, and Fire's wearing the earrings, and like, you're Fire. And she's like, anybody could have bought those earrings and wore them. And he's like, I bought those earrings in France for a very special girl.
You know, your secret would have been safe if it hadn't been for the earrings.
The earrings?
Yeah, you wore them at the press conference.
Wait a minute, is that what this is all about? The earrings? Anybody could have bought those.
I bought them in France. Saving them for someone special.
And you are that girl. And she's basically like, oh, well, Fire is my friend, and I let her borrow the earrings. And he's like, well, I'm not gonna believe that unless I see fucking Fire walk through the door, okay? And then so she's like, okay, and she like turns her beeper on, and Martian Manhunter hears this, and then he shapeshifts into Fire and walks through the door, and
Someone here accusing you of impersonating me? Uh-huh.
then David Krumholtz is like, whoa, I guess you're not Fire, even though they look identical. Alright, and so we're back as the fucking weatherman shoots a goddamn laser beam out of space at the underwater base of the JLA. And so it basically, like, the laser melts their station a little bit. And so their, like, door of the base gets stuck. And I thought this shit was hilarious. Green Lantern, he's like, oh, don't worry, I got this. I can pry the door open. And instead of, like, making a crowbar out of his ring, he uses an IRL crowbar. Like, he just grabs one off the floor. And he's, like, standing there trying to, like, pry the door open.
We can't waste time on her any longer. Come on, let's go. It's not budging.
Then he's like, ah, shit, guys, I can't do this. I can't. Oh, man. Ice. Tori freezes the door, and they get out. And then, so they concoct this plan of, like, I'm gonna stop the weatherman and do this and that, and oh my god.
Oh my god.
So, Green Lantern uses a Mary Poppins helicopter and flies to, like, the top of the building where the weatherman is. And he's like, you're over, weatherman. I've got you. And the weatherman just leans over to the briefcase and goes, initiate sequence. And then he's like, you done? You done? And then there's a huge tidal wave coming to the city. It's huge. It's a whole fucking lake coming to the city. Then the Green Lantern's like, I'm gonna stop you. And Flash, he's rescuing some kids. He's just grabbing kids, picking them up, and running them out of town, I guess. And so basically, Green Lantern's like, I'm still gonna stop you. What makes you think I won't? And so Miguel O'Hara's like, oh yeah? What about this? And he just throws the goddamn briefcase off a cliff. Just off the building into, like, a cliff part. And Green Lantern looks over the ledge, and I swear, he literally just goes like this. Hits his beeper, and goes, I can't stop it. I can't.
It's not bad.
I can't stop the wave.
You can't just make a green thing and pick the briefcase? This movie's something else, I tell you what. So basically, turns out Tori, she goes to the lake, she freezes the tidal wave in place. Hooray, job well done. Because, you know, it's not like that'll ever melt. Anywho, Green Lantern, these green handcuffs Miguel O'Hara, and he's like, we fucking did it. And then they have a meeting with Tori, and they're like, listen, bitch, you're joining the Justice League. And Fire's like, we're gonna call you Ice, and I'm Fire, and I can't wait to have another girl on the team, because there's so many boys. It's a real boys team. They give Ice a really shitty looking ice suit that looks shitty, like all the other suits in this. And, basically then, Fire's like, alright, I gotta go. Krumholtz, he has a new girlfriend. It's a 16-year-old cheerleader, and he wants me to meet her. Why is that in this?
He wants me to meet his new girlfriend, some 16-year-old cheerleader.
Oh, gee, I'm not gonna touch that.
It's a throwaway line, but you're just like, what is the point of any of this fucking movie? Anywho, there's somewhat of a happy ending, because Flash, he finally gets a job as a children's counselor, because he's just really good with kids, because he's a goofy fucking dork. Ice and Adam, a future couple maybe. We'll find out in the second episode of this show, when it debuts. Alright, so lost the ending there, got cut off or whatever. So Sober Me's gonna finish off the plot, so we'll get right back into it. Like I was explaining to you right before it cut off. So basically it ends with Miguel O'Hara, he was the villain of the piece, going to jail. They show him in handcuffs, going into the van, and then, oh, what's this? Set up for a second episode, because he uses a laser, and lasers his cuffs. Then, basically it cuts to the underwater base of the JLA, and Ice is there, and Fat Martian Manhunter is like, you're one of us now. You're in the Justice League. And she's like, oh boy. So then they give her a suit, and that's pretty cool. So then she gives this whole speech about being a superhero and having powers, and then there's a really shitty scene of all of the team coming together and walking off. And that's the end of the movie.
We all need heroes in our lives. Sometimes we find them in the most unlikely places.
Oh, I know! It's the worst superhero thing ever made! Let us know what you thought of this, and if you have any interest in watching the movie, or if you've actually seen it. I doubt you have, because it's the worst. You remember it? Yeah, it's bad. It's so bad. So as always, I've been Bat Tracy. You can follow me on everything at BatTracy01.
I've been Lexstyle. You can follow me on Instagram with Strick and on Twitter at ADDal. Check out my stream at twitch.tv/Lexstyle.
Yeah.
2 L's. Follow us on everything.
You have a Lexstyle. It's Stardust.
Stardust at Lexstyle. You can follow us on everything at Punk Rock Blues, and you
And
can
donate
pledge
to
our
our
Patreon at
Patreon.
patreon.com/punkrockblues. The fun time I had with you.
Thanks.
Through this whole thing.
I know.
It was such a fun explain.
People should give you feedback for how good of a co-host you
I
are
was
on
such
this
a
episode.
good audience member.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions for a Drunk Explained you want to see next? Well, let me know down below. Otherwise, I got a few more ideas. But it's going to be like that. It's going to be like things that are easy to make fun of while drunk. Or I was even thinking of maybe doing a Drunk Explained for the MCU. I think that'd be pretty fun. Or maybe the Dark Knight trilogy. That'd be a really fun one. He burns people to death in that first one. He could have just killed the guy with the sword. No, he burned like 30 people to death. My God. Okay, I'm just gonna end this. I have that much left. Okay, bye. This was so much fun. It's ridiculous. Hey, you should drink. It's great.